Me and my wife, Susanna, we sat down at the kitchen table one night and she goes, "What would happen if we were to just buy a truck? You know, you can make a lot more money." So we decided to buy a truck.
They had $30,000 to invest in a truck, and they put that down on this new Volvo, beautiful new truck he got, a new used truck, but a relatively newer used truck. He came in, went through the normal process, started to drive for us. He would tell us about these problems he was having with the little things you get. You buy a used vehicle, and there's always lots of stuff.
I was probably working for RDS about 4 months, and my turbo went out of the truck.
He was having continuous problems, whether it had to do with the front end, to the rear, to the engine, to transmission, all the way around. He needed help.
That he was battling the fact that his truck apparently had been in an accident before he purchased it, and nobody had told him.
So, you know, it wound up being about $16,000. I couldn't afford that.
And one day he just comes in and he says, "Now I've got this big problem and it's in the shop and it's going to cost more money than I have to fix it. What can you do?" And I said, "Well, you're a good guy, you're trying to make it go. We'll help you by funding it, and then you can pay it back. We could take and wrap this repair into the truck. We could refinance the truck at a much lower rate for you, put it on a lease-to-own process like we do here, and then, you know, your paycheck, it won't change much. Your cost every month won't change much." He said, "Why would you do that for me? You don't know me." And I just said, "Well, you're a good driver, honest guy, you want to work here. We want people like you to work here, so as I told you when you hired on, your success is our success, and your failure is, at least in some part, our failure. So we need to help you. And, you know, you got to believe in people or they don't get anywhere."
He took a big chance with me. But that's just the way Greg is, you know, he'll take a chance on anybody.
I saw something in Rick that told me that he was a hard worker, he was a man who'd honor his commitment, and I didn't have to really worry about that. We ordered the payoff on the truck, we pay off the truck, we put it in our name, and with him as a lessee.
And then I started paying him back and everything. And all that was going really good. And then after about 4 more months, my truck went back into the shop. It needed a total end frame, which is a total engine rebuild from the bottom up. A brand new head put on it, which was $4,500. I mean, EGR valve, EGR cooler, everything, you know, had to be replaced.
I had to pick him up off the floor. It was very, very expensive. I believe his engine was about $30,000 to repair it, and that's a big hit for someone that just purchased a truck off a lot.
It was particularly painful because he had took all of his savings, that whole $30,000, and invested in a truck, which at that moment was worth zero, because you had to invest another $30,000 just to get it back in play again.
You got your livelihood, and that's a hit. I mean, you're buying a truck, you figure you're at least going to get 2-3 years out of it before you start having problems. The miles were low, and from the get-go, it was just a lemon.
The truck at the time he bought it was worth, say, $85,000 or $90,000. He invested $30,000, and now his investment was being eroded.
My wife, she was really worried about the whole situation and going, "Okay, where are we going from here?" She goes, "I don't have that kind of money to fix it." She goes, "You don't have that kind of money to fix it."
He had no way to rekindle his dream, but for us. No bank was going to loan him money. He wasn't in a position to find money anywhere else. Ultimately, what we do is we get this huge bill, and I rerun the numbers, and by adding 1 year into the payoff cycle and lowering the interest to just our cost of money, I'm able to get it down so his monthly cost for the truck doesn't change. And that's what we did.
You know, took me right under his wing, and I really appreciate that, because if it wouldn't have been for rail delivery here, having my back, I don't know what would have happened.
He would have lost the truck, he would have lost his deposit, he would have had to go back as an employee driver, which he didn't like. And we just did something that didn't really cost us anything in the long run, but it got him back on track. We refinanced the truck for 3 years, so he paid 1/3 of the payments on the lease. And so a year later, he comes in and pays off the balance due.
We decided to sell our home, and we went ahead and just paid off the truck and got rid of that overhead, and that's made my checks a little bit better.
He wanted to pay it off. It was surprising, but if you know Rick, it's not unexpected, because he likes to be totally independent of any encumbrances.
And him paying it off just sort of marks the fact that all through this, notwithstanding the fact that we own the truck, it was his truck. We never took possession of the truck. We saw it drive up and drive away. We never asked him to keep it in our possession. We trusted the man.
He has the integrity that he does what he says he's going to do.
He's a good driver. He likes it here. He understands what it's like to work here, and that's a big part of the issue for drivers.
I try to do the best job I can possibly do for him.
There's a situation that arises where we can be of help without putting ourselves in extreme jeopardy, and without being seen to take advantage of something, which is something we won't do. Then we can create a new start for folks.
This guy's got a heart so huge, and him and Judy are just top notch. That they're the apple, of this company.
Rick's just a current example of a really interesting story, because it was his dream to be an entrepreneur. Now he lost his dream, then he got it back, and he still has it.